Today I'm going to paint an abstract transparent flower, and I will show you how to turn a mistake into something beautiful. Hi friends, I'm Olga Koelsch, watercolor artist, teacher and a book author. Welcome to my studio. I prepare a very diluted mix of pink. I have quinacridone and rose. I will also add a bit of vermilion into that to get more coral color for that. Before I paint, I find the middle part of the flower where the flower connects to a stem, and I think it will be about this area. It will be slightly tilted to that direction. Now I load my brush with my diluted pink mix and I create first petal outline, and then I just fill in the shape inside. I try to keep the middle very light, and then it would be very easy if you have the second brush, and with the second brush you grab a bit of bolder mix. You can use just the same color, just a bit bolder, creamier, and add a bit of contrast to the bottom of this petal. A bit, just let it all distribute by itself. I'm thinking I can paint another petal, but it's important that petals are not overlapping yet. Therefore, I create beautiful shape, wash slightly my brush, and fill in the middle of the petal. Then I switch to my smaller brush and add more darkness into the middle, of the flower, into the spot where petals connect into a stem. It's very important to dry layers before we are painting on top of them. Let's paint another petal, which I will place in between those two. I create a nice shape, some wiggling moves with the brush. I love to overlap of those shapes. Then I slightly wash my brush and fill in the middle of the petal, basically using what I applied already, and I can correct the shape if necessary. And then I switch to my smaller brush, and again I can add a bit more of darker tone into the center. I can attach one more petal without disturbing others. I will use a mix of these two. Firstly, I will create the shape, and I always come back to this flower center from which I started, from which we found, which we discovered before painting. And then I just distribute this diluted mix, bringing everything to the middle of the flower. If it is too much water, you can tap your brush on a paper towel and gather some puddles like this. Now I would like to try everything again. Bathe my brush in my diluted mix, and then I imagine how this fifth petal will be, and it will go on top of all previous petals, and again coming back to this meeting point. Then I try to soften this outline, bringing down to the center of the flower, and I would like to add a bit more of contrast. Now I stepped a little bit aside from the middle Now I dry it again. When I was drying my petals, I accidentally created that spot. Now I'm thinking I will just add one more petal, hide that. So I'm thinking that I will create one more petal like this. Nice, interesting shape. Always try to add some variety to the shapes, shouldn't be just round or ovals. And then I use my bold mix to create the center of the flower, to make it more visible, more interesting. Just let it all flow, and I think it actually can turn out pretty lovely with this extra petal. So now I will add one more petal on top of the rest. I want to beat a bit aside like this. Small brush and a bit of bold mix in the very middle. And then I can either use a pencil to add a stem. I imagine how it grows, where is the flower center, like this. It goes like this, and then we can see that, for example. Or you, of course, can also paint it with a brush. So now we have very delicate abstract flower. I think would be nice to add a little bit in the middle, a little bit of pollen area in the middle to emphasize this middle part. I will mix the same pink, but I will add a hint of burnt sienna to make it slightly darker, a bit of ultramarine blue. And then with the tip of my brush, I can, with some dots, I can make, again, pretty abstract, pretty random pollen area. Dots for stamens. About this. I think this will look pretty. And I think I will just paint over the pencil mark, pencil stem, just to keep everything more watercolor style. And our spontaneous abstract layered flower is ready. Thank you so much for painting with me. I hope you enjoyed this class. Please let me know in comments what would you like to paint next, and see you soon. Bye bye.